This podcast will speak to many wonderful people about how they became the incredible story that they are. We are celebrating all levels, all industries, and all of the steps that come on the journey to get there. Hello and welcome to the pod. I'm your host, Grace, and with us today we have Jessica Joseph, who's telling us all about how to become a talent agency owner. So thank you so much for coming in.
Thanks for having me.
I'm so excited because I know I've tried to pin you down so many times, probably in social situations, like, what do you do? And so, yeah, that's very me. So I'm so glad you came on. So just tell us what it is to be a talent agency owner to begin with.
I would say it's a lot of wearing many hats and spinning a lot of plates. The day job of being a talent manager is looking after many different talent businesses. So we represent clients in the entertainment industry. Some of them are podcasters, in fact. So that could be digital content creators or influencers, and all of their partnerships. We offer a 360 management service, so that is making sure that we are commercializing in the right way, looking after their brand partnerships, any kind of IP opportunities, publishing, podcasting, licensing deals, and then in addition to that, obviously I hire for the business, I run the team, I work with the finance team, I do all of the business management alongside my fabulous commercial director Nick, and at the minute we're a team of 6. So yeah, it's busy.
There's so much. See, even then I'm like, I can't believe how many things you do. But we'll go on the journey and like to go how you got there and everything like that. But I just want to start from the very beginning. What did you want to do and what did you want to be when you were growing up?
I thought about this question a bit on the way here because as with my current ways of working and the way my brain works, it changes often. So I think the most consistent thing from being like a child to early teens, like I did want to be a singer. Like I was desperate to be a singer. I don't think anyone probably really knows that. It was very much private bedroom singing, but I could genuinely envisage myself like on the stage being a singer.
Wow, I didn't even know you could sing. That's so exciting.
I'm a secret. I'm a private singer.
I'm a private
singer. And then I think I came to realise the older I got, and then also the chance I had to then actually perform on stage, I realised, wow, this is really nerve-wracking.
Mm-hmm.
And actually, there are so many wonderful, amazing singers in the world that have the full package. I did a few musicals at school. I was in the soul band, did a few solos, but I would get so nervous that I thought, do you know what, I'm not sure it's for me, but I do want to work in the entertainment world. So I went from singer to fashion journalist. That's the second thing that I wanted to be.
That's exciting.
And then I think that progressed into definitely wanting a comms role, but maybe not in fashion. And so over the time at uni is when I found out about this world of like agenting / management. Mm-hmm. And then from there, I kind of kept the same career in mind, and that's where I am now.
What did you study at uni?
Fashion communication.
Oh, you did?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I was definitely, when I've got an idea in my head, like it's hard to get out of. And so when I wanted to do fashion journalism, there are a few other courses called fashion communication, fashion promotion, fashion journalism, and so I went to look around all the courses, and that's the one that I ended up at Northumbria in Newcastle.
Oh, that's fun. Yeah. I love that. I had no idea. I mean, from the dress I can kind of get the fashion thing, so that makes sense.
Sometimes you may catch me not in this position.
You always look fab. So what was like the very first thing you think that like took you to talent agency? Like what did you see, or what called out to you that you're like, maybe I want to do this?
It was a specific moment. So backtracking a little bit to when I wanted to be a singer, I had always spent a lot of time online, obviously like MSN, making Bebo, MySpace pages and all that jazz, and then part of that would be listening to music on YouTube. And so I guess the first like YouTubers that I watched would have been people singing, not famous people, just like singing in their bedroom, like covers. Mm-hmm. And so I used to subscribe to people on YouTube, and then I also, when I was about 14, I googled how to do a French plat. And the first like search engine response was a YouTube video. So obviously, I guess Google and YouTube are in partnership, and I pressed on it, and it was a girl in a bedroom just like talking about how to do her hair. And I was like, wow, that's so weird. Like, why would you be doing that? Yeah. And then I kind of fell in the rabbit hole of YouTube on that one day and found like Zoella and her like now husband, I think, Alfie Days, her brother. There was like this group of UK YouTubers who at that point in time were kind of really well known across the world. And so yeah, I watched a few of their YouTube videos, and then at a certain time they all started getting a management manager at the same management company, which was called Gleam Futures, and that's where I got my first job out of uni. So I very much did stalk them
Yeah.
and became obsessed with the fact that why would somebody who creates YouTube videos in their bedroom need a manager, and so yeah, I just became very like engrossed and involved in what they were up to, and then kept my sights on that specific job out of uni.
That is impressive. You are one of them people that like when you put your mind to it, you're gonna do it.
Yeah, I kind of didn't see another role for myself. I did apply for a few more jobs. When I finished uni, I went to work in PR for a year and moved to Leeds. So I'm from Bradford. I moved to Leeds for a year, and then after that, after kind of my first foray into like having a proper job, as it were, I knew that I wanted to move to London. And if I moved to London, like Gleam was the only place that I wanted to work, and so I basically was like, this is my only option and I will get a job there, and so luckily I did.
And you did it.
Yeah, but that was my first role in kind of managing talent at 21, so quite young.
Yeah, what was it like? Was it like, because like as a starting role there, what would that mean? Like, what do you do?
It was very much an assistant level. It changed title I think a few times, but I was a talent producer and then a talent coordinator, and the structure in the business was like the kind of assistant level, the coordinator level, and then the talent manager level, and then into senior talent management, and then talent manager. Then we had a talent director and head of talent, but also our founder of the business was very much still involved. So I maybe was number 15 in the company, and it hadn't been going for very long. But it was, as you can imagine, I came from a really tiny office in Leeds, which I loved, by the way. I still am really good friends with the people I worked with. But it was central London on Charlotte Street, like massive glass windows, like glass meeting rooms. I felt like I was walking into Devil Wears Prada. It actually gave the effect of like, oh my god, pinch me. So I loved that kind of element of it. And then the day-to-day was you are kind of the eyes and ears of many different people. You're also dealing with a lot of different personalities, and you have to be extremely fast paced. So the pace of work I think was a shock to the system from my first job, and I got stuck in from the offset in like I guess a client facing role, and then the other part of it was also like dealing with brands and brand partnerships. So a lot of executing the logistics and admin of when people do brand partnerships on Instagram, or at that point YouTube. We did a lot of YouTube partnerships, so when people see like a hashtag ad, that's what the back end of that was my job, and that became my like everyday for a long time.
Really? I sense it as like chaotic.
It was chaos.
Yeah.
Organised chaos. Yeah, for sure. And also we worked with really exciting people. So I mentioned the kind of the Zoella and the Joe Sogan. They were all on our talent roster. Obviously that's how I'd recognise the business, and they were working on like huge global brand partnerships. And so I think I took for granted how cool the job was initially. And I learned a lot in terms of like the legal elements. So we had really good legal training, how to read a contract. I had never read a contract before, and obviously if you're negotiating these high level partnerships for a talent or influencer who is their own individual that's working with a huge, like globally recognized brand, there's a lot of legal jargon that means that they could own the content forever. They could use it in perpetuity. They could, plaster it on a billboard. And so you have to kind of understand all the like IP rights and language and look out for people and make sure that you're the person that's like not allowing that to happen. So yeah, I learned a lot, lots of like elements of how to run a successful partnership. Some mistakes, of course, naturally, and then worked with lots of interesting people. So some kind of parenting influencers. One of my old clients had a law change for flexible working. So some really impressive people.
That is amazing.
Yeah, really cool.
Did it ever make you want to be on that side of it, like be the influencer?
I think I would lie and say no. Actually, I'd already decided that I didn't like that part before I had the job. And this came to light on a work trip recently where someone found a YouTube video that I thought I'd deleted about 15 years ago.
No. What was it?
It was like, hi guys, today I've been in Primark.
Oh.
My voice was a different voice, like I was still a kid.
Person.
Yeah. And so yeah, I had made a few YouTube videos when I was maybe like 13, 14 that I thought would never see the light of day. But yeah, I think I decided at that point I enjoy the kind of business side of it, and actually the development side of working with different talent and types of people, and some that want to like build businesses and brands, and some people that want to go into publishing and presenting, and it's fun to be able to do all of those different elements with different people, and not also have to be thinking about my own like strategy and content, and maybe if it happened naturally at some point, but right now I'm very happy, being the manager and the business owner.
And you're so good at it.
Sometimes.
It's just a busy life, I can imagine. So why, like, you're at your dream place, and what makes you want to take the leap? How long did you work there before you're like, okay, it's time?
In that role, 2.5 years, and I think I learned so quickly, because you had to, like, we were thrown into an insanely busy company, and then after about 2.5 years, I thought, I've worked here, I've learned a lot, but I'm maybe not kind of progressing as quickly as I wanted to, and I'm very ambitious, I always have been, and it was more of a what comes next, not a I don't want to be here. And so I actually got a job at another agency that was slightly different. They were kind of a technology platform that executed brand partnerships like at a really like high level for like influencers in, I think, US and UK at that point, and they wanted to start a talent management arm. So I was a little bit more senior. I went in to help build that side of the business, and so after being there for another 2 years, I thought I know everything about managing talent, and I love that part. I still love that part, but I've helped kind of build this arm of the business, and so I understand a little bit more about how to run things from a more senior position. And at that point, when I left my last role, it was COVID, so that we'd just been sent home and everyone was working from home. And also it was the resurgence of the Black Lives Matter movement in the US that was obviously kind of filtering over to the UK. And at that point I'd like procured my own client roster where I worked, and that included lots of amazing black creators, but I could see myself after 4.5 years of working in this industry that there's huge disparities of opportunity for any non-white creator, to be honest, and anyone that didn't fit the mold of like what is seen as successful, which unfortunately is usually like your white middle class kind of like non-offensive influencers. And so I decided, because I was working from home, I kind of had nothing to lose in taking a little bit of a break and thinking, what do I want to do next? Do I still want to do this role? I come to the end of my like time at that agency specifically, and I spoke to a few of my clients, and they said, okay, cool, if you're leaving, then where are we going?
Oh,
and
wow.
That was the literal beginning of the business.
That's incredible.
Yeah.
To have them people that back you just straight away like that must be the best motivator.
Yeah, slightly like a little bit of pressure for sure, but also I still work with 3 out of 4 now. So that was amazing. 5 years ago, and actually 2 of those clients I'd already worked with for the full 2 years. So like 7 years of some really long-standing relationships. And I think we really pride ourselves on having that across like the rest of our clients, even those newer to the roster. Like we might have worked with some of them from the week that we opened the business, and we've got some really great clients that we've worked with through like marriages, babies, and all sorts of different life changes, which is really nice.
You've seen it all.
Yeah,
you're part of their lives.
Yeah.
When you want to do it yourself, like what is literally the very first step? Is it literally picking your name? Do you need investment, or is it just? I'm sure it's loads of things. I'm just trying to think of like, well, you're at home and you want to go for it. Yeah,
for sure. And I guess if people are like listening and they're like, I want to do that. I think the naivety of never having run a business, which I will say now, looking back in hindsight, there's a lot that I didn't know. And then also being 25 and thinking, what's the worst that can happen? If this goes wrong, I'm still young. I'm confident that I'm good at my job. I could do it elsewhere, and it will all be like a life lesson. And so the first thing for me was thinking about the name and the values of the business, and that took a while actually. So the idea to like start this business came off the back of like 4 clients that obviously trusted in my knowledge, I guess. The name thing was difficult, and I made a list of things that mean change, evolve, new, all of that. And then obviously you've got to sit in Companies House and check whether any of these businesses exist, of which loads of them did, but I've never come across them. Yeah. And so Season was on there as like, one of the evolve kind of names. And then Season Talent Management was already taken. didn't deter me. I was like, I'm going to still use it. And then 25, because I was 25 at the time. So yeah, it took a while. That took about a week to do. And then after that, it was easy as kind of finding an accountant. Luckily, I was at home at the time. I'd just moved back to my parents for lockdown. And my dad runs his own business, so he'd given me a few tips of the trade, although a very different vertical. And yeah, I'm very lucky that my parents were there kind of in the initial moments to support, offer their conservatory as my office. And when I moved back to London, I hired somebody. I think 8 months was my first full-time position, and then also just before that, I'd hired somebody part-time as well.
That feels really quick to me.
It was
in a good way.
Yeah.
Like, it must have been doing so well, but like to be 8 months to be like, I'm going to hire someone full time, because that's you needing to pay them and all that responsibility.
I think that was where the first like, oh wow, I really hadn't prepared myself for this moment came, and he won't mind me saying, but I think the initial hiring somebody, also because the job is very, very. We are very social and sociable, and we do have to speak over a lot of like different things as a team. And so because we'd met a couple of times via Zoom and only once in person, I came down to London to do an interview, and then obviously, as I said, I wasn't based there for a couple of months. And so the first time working together, when you've done everything for yourself and by yourself, is like, it was a bit sticky, and very much had to adapt, learn, and become used to like managing somebody else, which I hadn't actually done in my previous role. So although I had kind of jumped up seniority level, the business hadn't grown at a pace where I had somebody underneath me. And so that was a learning.
Yeah,
for sure.
That's probably like a big scary decision, but you needed it to grow. It's one of them things, like if you don't do this, you can't do it all by yourself.
Exactly. Yeah. And I think what you said about the kind of pressures of payroll, and but obviously then we did have to find an office space, and we've grown from 3 to 1.7. Now we're 6. Soon will be 8 again. Well, soon will be 8 for the first time, which is cool. But you do have to understand that with growth is obviously risk, and when you've committed to signing employment contracts and signing for an office space, then you need to cover the overheads, and you are really responsible for people's livelihood, and that's quite a scary thought.
It's a lot of pressure.
Yeah.
Do you thrive under pressure?
I would say that I work well under pressure, yeah. I think I've become probably a little bit more sensible in understanding that pressure in terms of like always been busy and the company doing well at the same time as being busy, that's good. But delegating and not being frazzled in the head pressure is, there's a balance between that. And I think it's easy to get yourself kind of caught in spirals of working like that and then not looking after yourself and then not being the best version of a manager. And so like I'm learning the balance between the two, I think.
Yeah, I can imagine you're constantly learning.
Yeah.
Because you've achieved so much and you're only 30 and you have like hired people and stuff, but also there's still so much to come, I'm sure.
Yeah, I think we, at the minute, we're in a growth period. So this year for us is all about how can we continue to expand our services and have the best offering for our clients. This industry itself is growing like hugely. There's a statistic actually. We did a kickoff at the beginning of the year with all our clients and the team, and it was all the like education about the industry, what's changing, where we think this is heading, what should the focus be for this year, and then some kind of case studies of people who have done X really well, like who's built a brand really well, who's built community. And I think what we know is that now, in comparison to 10 years ago, where there were 60,000 people identified as like a full-time content creator, and now there's 200 million. That's the difference.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
That's insane growth.
The kind of step up is immense. And so it's a competitive industry. And we obviously want to remain at the top of our game. And what that means is expanding our team with people who are experts in different areas, such as podcasting, such as building successful brands or branding, such as kind of people within the entertainment sphere that we've not yet got like a head of publishing or a head of broadcast. And so we're always thinking about where next to build the business, but that means revenue. And so you mentioned before about investment, and that's not something that we've leaned on. So we didn't raise any capital. We don't plan to at the moment. And so obviously we depend on business growth to hire people, and so we're always trying to be scrappy and think of like we just have to be good at our jobs basically to bring in revenue for clients, because that means we're having a good year and that means we can hire in the right places. So that's where we are at the minute.
And is your team really aware of that? Like, you're really open about it, but like, if you bring it, it's not, I hate to say it like this because it's not like you need to do this, keep your jobs, but it's like that's the way we keep going and we work as a team. You must have quite a close team if everyone's aware of that.
Yeah, really close team. And I think it's funny because we're a people first business, we always will be. And I think the talent manager aspect of this job, like you cannot do it successfully if it's not with care at the forefront. And I think because of the growth of the industry, you've got lots of people cropping up to be like, we manage influencers, we can make you loads of money. And it's a bit dangerous because a lot of people hand over 100% of their kind of like livelihood to somebody else who is seeing them as another way to like build their own kind of successful brand or income, and doing it from a place of like selfishness versus care and long-term growth. And I think there's like a balance between creating revenue and being and obviously the team knowing the plans for the business, but not having that at the forefront, because actually the business that we have is built on servicing clients and like long-standing careers, and that means turning opportunities down when they're not the right thing. So it's not just about this is how the team grows and we're really kind of strict on targets and revenue, because actually the reason that we exist is to do a great job in long-standing careers and building like development opportunities, and that doesn't always mean revenue. So yes, in a way the team doesn't understand how the business works, but we also look at everything from like a holistic perspective of, is this the right opportunity? Does it fit the client that's come in for? Are we still aligned in like the end goal? Like, what is it they want to do? Do they want to be like, I don't know, I'm going to say something random. Do they want to in the long term present on This Morning, or do they want to have their own like successful fashion brand, or do they want to be a politician? I don't know. Whatever it is like if we're aligned in the end goal, we make decisions based on that, not just based on revenue. So yeah, everyone's aware of how the team grows, but they have to be the right opportunities that we take on, with that in mind.
With those values, does that also change the clients you take on as well? Like, are there certain clients that wouldn't align to that and you'd be like, we're not the right agency for you?
Yeah, I think we've turned down quite a lot of inbound requests from people who might be doing great things, but if we're being honest to ourselves and we're speaking as a team, do we feel best suited to represent them? Is our contact network right for them? Do we feel passionate about what they're doing? Are they at the right stage in their career for us to actually help commercialize or grow? Or if they come to us saying they want to achieve X and we don't have any knowledge in that area, it would be wrong of us to try to do that if we're not the right people for that. And so yeah, we will base things on the values of the business. Obviously it has to feel aligned, and making sure that we actually are the right people to achieve what it is that they want to achieve.
And then if there's someone you really want, how do you go about getting them?
That's a good question. So I would say, number one, we've been really lucky in, what's the word I'm looking for? Recommendation. So we started off with a roster of 4, and the next person that came onto the roster was through a recommendation of one of the guys we already worked with, and that has just built off the back of. So everybody who has come to us who signed a contract, or 80% of, have been of personal recommendations. So we've never had to go out and kind of pitch for clients or poach clients from other agencies. Now that has happened to us in the reverse, which is a shame. We are a small business, and there are obviously big conglomerates and huge agencies that have existed for like 50 years who've got agents in every single vertical, and sometimes they are really well equipped to take on clients, but sometimes they join a different business and actually they're maybe a smaller fish in a bigger pond, and so they maybe don't get the same level of service that we've offered, but it still felt like the right move for them, and we don't keep people against their will, but the whole approach in Newtown has been a new thing for us, because we've been lucky in how we've grown a little bit, I hate to say it's cringe, a bit like a family, but it does have that feel. And so yeah, this year when we've started to forge new relationships, it has been based on whether we've met in person, And again, whether we truly feel like we are better suited for you than your current team, can we see opportunity? So sometimes we'll actually approach a creator, a talent that we have an opportunity for through their current management team, not with the aim of trying to ruin relationships, but with the aim of like working together. So we still have a chance to work with them. Maybe we've got like a big project we're working on with a brand that's well suited for them, and we'll still kind of work collaboratively with their current team to make that happen. And if that grows naturally at a certain later date, then that would be great. And if not, then we found like another team to kind of work with. I do feel like collaboration over competition is our motto. We're not here to make loads of enemies, and we're not here to try to like pull down other businesses. And if we do want to work with people on projects, that's kind of an arm of the business we're going at the minute, is how can we, even if we're not exclusively managing these people, take great opportunities that would still like align with them.
That's impressive. Is that how you think that like a lot of people in competition in the industry, would you say?
Yes, I think it would be dishonest to say no, but I've made really great connections with a lot of people in the industry who I feel we've got the same mindset, and there's lots of managers that I know that came from the business that I came from because it no longer exists. So they've either joined bigger agencies, they've set their own businesses up, and we don't really cross in terms of like competitor verticals or similar talent. So we do help each other out, and I think that kind of ethos and way of working, number one, makes life just easier for everybody, and it's a nicer environment to work in, but then the favours come back around.
Yeah, there's always going to be a time where you can help each other out, and it's just such a nice way to learn and grow.
Yeah.
Like the best way, this is what everyone's been saying, like when we've been interviewing, is that you can't do anything alone. Like everybody needs help, and it's so nice when you realise that, because you're like, oh, it can feel embarrassing to ask for help, and it's not that way at all. People are usually more often than not happy to help.
Yeah, exactly.
And I think that's such a nice way to work together. So
and actually you feel good for helping for the most part, and you know, I think all of us, it doesn't matter what industry you're in, you might move into something completely different in years to come, and if someone remembers that you gave them a helping hand, they might be happy to intro you to a friend or a mentor, or I think it all comes back around, even if it's like years ahead.
100%. Like you can leave a mark with someone, and that's such a nice thing, or they will always remember that you helped them, and they'll spread the word, and then you end up helping loads more people as well.
Exactly.
So you're at this amazing stage with the company, and what is the goal for it, or what's the goal for you? Do you want to keep growing? Is there anything specific you have in mind for the next 5 years?
Next 5 years. So I've always been quite bad at like planning ahead or seeing super far into the future, and I think we like to look at the year ahead always, and that's us as a team, and that's our clients as well. So when we're doing our strategies, we're thinking about where we want to be in the next year, sometimes 3 years, but it changes so quickly, and this industry changes so quickly that we can't always, you know, tie ourselves down to those like specific goals. For us this year, it's about doubling the size of the team. We've got specific people in mind that we need to hire next in order to achieve the goals that we want internally in the business, and keep a lookout on our Instagram for when we're hiring anyone. And that is within our entertainment arm and the talent management arm of the business. For myself, I think we're in a really great period, and I want to keep the momentum going and keep building. Ideally, we'll have a new office space and a bigger studio space soon. We're in Brixton at the moment, and we really like being there. It's kind of community, the community feel, and the actual place that we work, and we're able to, I don't know, it feels like great for inspiration and ideas, and actually we're going to stay there for now. And then in the long term, we want to do everything. We're building an agency, we're building a production company. That's the long term. We'll be able to kind of service our talent with the other brands within the business, and hopefully look into some joint ventures with some of the creators that we've worked with for a long time that have areas of expertise that are slightly different to ours. So really we just want to build lots of different successful businesses and have an ecosystem in which we can service like loads and loads of different types of clients.
I have no doubt that you'll do it. I have to ask, because it's a bit of a personal question, so you don't have to answer it, but being like a woman that owns a business and constantly growing it, and you're so busy, is it nerve-wracking to think like of the impact it has in your life overall, or are you like, there's nothing I can't do? Because I feel like sometimes the pressure, or even trying to look ahead, you're like, how can I balance everything in this world I'm creating?
I'll answer honestly. It's a constant thought for me. I'm getting married this year, and the amount of time I've been able to put into wedding planning versus running a business and growing a business, which is different to, keeping at the same level of where you are, and we could be happy with where we are, but as I said, we've had these really big ambitions for a long time, and it's felt like the right time 5 years in to start being a bit more aggressive with the growth plan. But at the same time as planning a wedding and thinking about, I'm 30, so if I did want to have children, when would be the right time? And there is unfortunately a time pressure on women, whereas I feel so young. Like as you said, I'm only 30. But there are unfortunate periods where I think that something's got to give, and so you have to just accept the fact that if you're going 100% on business this year, then saying no to personal things is a given. And so I do feel like I've missed out on some things that have been important over the past 5 years, like friend commitments, family commitments, just chill time.
Just resting.
Doesn't exist. But I always know that in the long term these things will balance out. So there's a season for everything, and if I do choose to become a parent, at that point I'll make sure the business is in a position where I can actually go full effort into parenting. And if my parents are older and I need to be able to spend more time with them, I've hopefully built a business that will allow me to do that. And I think now is a period that I can work hard. I've got the ability to work hard. I've got the energy just about to work hard. So that's the focus for now.
Yeah, that's so good. I think it's also like nice to be like, it will work out. Like that's such a good thing, because we have it like all the time when we talk, and I talk to my girls about it all the time, and you're like, how do people do it? And I think we're also like, but everyone does do it. Like, do you know what I mean? You kind of just crack on. You manage, and you, if you have that mentality that you can do it, then you will do it, which is what the hope is.
Yeah.
If you would have looked when you started the business, was it 5 years ago?
Yeah, in June.
Would you have anticipated where you are now?
Honestly, I had no expectations, which may be a bad thing. I started it and I thought, if we last a year and we're in profit, or I make a profit in the first year of business, I'll be super happy. And so year on year, I think you become disillusioned with what success is, because you're always like, what's the next thing? I've not done this as well, or this part of the business has not run as well. But you have to accept that not every year is a year for success, and some years are just years for learning. And the more that I've realised that, the more I look at every year as like, it's successful, even if the numbers are not, increasing year on year.
Yeah.
Because I'm learning, and then the next year we'll do that better. So yeah, I wouldn't know. Absolutely didn't imagine to be here, but also very happy and grateful that we're 5 years in, and still it's exciting every day.
Yeah, still going, and still being, and still I'm sure doing more new stuff, because like you said, it's hard to plan so far in the future when things are changing so rapidly, like social and everything like that. Like you can't really anticipate what that's going to be in 5 years.
I mean, we had TikTok was about to get banned in the whole of America. Like, have had a crazy effect on everybody's businesses in our kind of remit. So you can't speak further than what you know to be true for like this week, and then it could all change. But that also keeps us on our toes, so I don't mind it.
Yeah, it sounds pretty fun.
Yeah.
Either as a talent agency or a woman that owns a business, what's your best piece of advice for someone that wants to? It's going to listen and be like, yeah, I'm going to do this.
I feel, because I listen to a lot of business podcasts, that's my guilty pleasure. I would say a lot of people give the same piece of advice, but because I live this advice on a day-to-day basis, I think it's the one thing that will push you further than any other piece of advice, and it is just start it. Like, it doesn't have to be perfect. I think the first logo that we had, I got a friend to help me do it on Canva. The website that we had, I did it on Wix. When you're pushed into a position, which I had 4 clients, and they had businesses running, so I couldn't really just let me wait until I'm ready. These things need to be perfect. And like, we've got brand deals that need to be done, we've got emails that we need to forward across, and so I was very much pushed into a position of do it now because it has to be done. And everything that we've done as a business, yes, we look for great work. We always want to produce great work, but it's always going to be your first time doing something, so just get it done, and then take the learnings from it and develop and get better. Don't sit and like really agonize over tiny details to the point where you're still thinking about doing something. Just crack on.
Do it, because you can get so in your head and then you talk yourself out of it.
Yeah, exactly.
Just get the ball rolling, and then you can learn as you go.
Definitely. And when you start running a business, you have to just not be a control freak. It's something I'm learning.
Oh gosh, that sounds hard.
Release. You've given someone a job, let them do it.
They can do it.
That's an everyday reminder.
Yeah, because you'd only hire them if you knew they could do it.
Yeah,
so you've got to back yourself, but it is hard because it's like your baby and like it's your business, and putting that in someone else's hands can be really hard, I can imagine. Like,
absolutely.
You're like trusting them to have the right intentions and share the values you have, and it's a lot.
But when you find the right people and they then do a great job, it's really rewarding. So you do have to relinquish control for them to do a good job.
Yeah, learning every day.
Learning every day.
Well, I literally learned so much, and that's everything I've always wanted to ask you.
There we go.
So thank you so much. I'm so buzzed. I'm buzzed
me.
that I even learned what season 25 came from.
I also I need to know more about your job, so hopefully someone's going to interview you on one episode, because I actually don't know the ins and outs of what you do.
We'll spin it round 100%. I'll be back. But thank you so much.
Thanks.
Thank you so much for watching. Please make sure that you like and subscribe so we can continue to make these and keep teaching people how to become A. Thank you.